Welcome to Notes from the Messy Middle. I'm Erin Gregory, storyteller, business owner, wife, and mom of 3. If you've ever found yourself stuck between where you started and where you hope to be, you're in the right place. My hope is that you'll hear your own story in these conversations and feel inspired, because the best progress happens right in the messy middle. Hey friends, thanks for joining me today in our first recorded session of Notes from the Messy Middle, and true to form, we are learning as we go. So enjoy the journey. I'll put it in a later episode how we did all of this or a post. So stay tuned for that whole technical breakdown from my producer and husband, Mike Gregory. If you've been listening to Notes from the Messy Middle for a minute, you've heard stories from entrepreneurs, creatives, caregivers, and leaders sharing their journeys, and they've been raw and honest and really wonderful. And I'm so grateful for everybody who's really embraced this podcast. It's been so cool. And in conjunction with their stories, and really why I started this podcast, is because I wanted to share pieces of my own writing journey with you. I haven't done a solo episode in probably over a month because, as my friend Tracy at Let's Get Unstuck would say, I've been stuck. I've been sitting on this story, this book that I wrote a year ago for a while. And for the last month in particular, I've just been sitting on edits that my editor put in my inbox. And every day those edits have been just annoying me sitting there, and I haven't known what to do with them. So when I started writing this book, the story was supposed to be about building a successful investment portfolio, a practical journalistic exploration of financial independence. I've been a journalist for over 20 years, so it's comfortable and it's easy for me to just do the research and the interviews and write the story. And this particular story followed a couple that I met while I lived in Indiana who left their 6-figure jobs, both of them, to live off of $20,000 for a year with 3 kids. Shocking, right? So I followed them. I took notes, observed, documented, interviewed community members, and really got the full picture. And while I was researching, what I thought I was writing was entirely different than what I ended up producing. And somewhere along the way, they invited me to share my story as well. And that's kind of when everything went a bit wonky, and I lost sight of what I was actually building. I just wrote. So somewhere between their confidence and my hesitation, I realized I wasn't chasing financial freedom. That wasn't the story. I was chasing creative and emotional freedom. What compelled me to tell their story was the same thing that guides me through every phase of my work, a desire to make something meaningful. One of my favorite mentors explained me to a client as someone who just wants to make her impact. And that really stayed with me because that was how I wanted to be thought of. So I was doing something right. Now, fast forward a year later, and suddenly a manuscript was born. Polished, heartfelt, complete. It got good reviews from friends and family. And then I started to submit it for publication. And I collected rejection after rejection. And, this is nothing new for me. I had a career in sales for a minute, so I can take that, but I had to understand what I was missing. And that's when my friend and client, Christy Dawson of Dogwood and Quill, reached out. She needed help with her brand. She had recently been a part of government layoffs. She's one of my early podcasts. Check it out if you haven't yet. And she decided to grab life by the horns and build her own brand. She is an executive speechwriter and an English professor and is fantastic at what she does. So when she asked me to help her out, I happily agreed, but I also asked for something in return. Help figuring out what the heck was wrong with my book. And she saw it immediately. The writing was strong, the story was clear, but my why was missing. Over the past year, and especially these past few months, as I've built my own brand and started sharing more of my stories, the messy middle ones, the honest ones, I began to see what I'd been building all along. I wasn't just creating a platform. I wasn't just promoting myself. I was giving myself permission, a space where I could be as unfinished, as uncertain, as unshowered some days, and human as everyone else I write for. So, launching this platform has given me the freedom to figure out what my message is in real time, to be both the writer and the experiment that you see here. And since I really value honesty and authenticity above almost everything, and that's what I promise readers, I share the down and dirty reality of building a business, the challenges, the sleepless nights, and the doubt. But somewhere along the way, I also got tired of watching people I love, friends, family, clients, get swallowed up by this struggle. It's everywhere. We are glued to the news, to the drama, to the constant reminder that everything is broken. It can consume you if you let it. And I needed a change in perspective. And honestly, I wanted the world to have one too. Maybe that's a little lofty, but, shoot for the stars. Because there's still so much good here. So much worth noticing and creating and sharing. And so that's when it clicked. That's what this is all about. It's embracing this phase, the in-between, the messy middle, because that's where it all happens. It's also where we spend so much darn time, we might as well embrace it. In the book, I chronicle the journey of this couple that I mentioned earlier. Yes, they achieved financial freedom, but the real story is about how they got there and why. They were seeking a life that was truly theirs. They wanted to own their time. And I won't go into any more detail here because I want you to buy the book when it comes out, and it will. I can finally say that with confidence. This weekend, after a sleepless week last week, it finally clicked, and I text Christy, my editor, first thing Saturday morning, and bless her, she answered happily. Before I could even explain, she already knew, and she'd just given me that space to figure it out on my own time. Now, I'm deep into those edits finally, about a third of the way in, and I'm seeing the story, I feel like, for the first time. And I didn't know what I was building until I built it. And sometimes that's exactly how it's supposed to happen. So what is so fantastic about this process is that this is exactly what I help other creatives, entrepreneurs, and mission-driven brands do. I find clarity in the chaos. I help them uncover what their work is really saying and why it matters. And as a tortured empath, having to look inward and discover it for myself has been so invaluable. I've learned so much through this process. I believe in the power of our stories, not just to promote our journeys and purpose, but to heal, to reflect, and to help us grow. I'm happier today than I've been in a long time because I took the time to bet on myself, to figure out my story, and to find my community through storytelling. It's true what they say. When people connect with what you write, there's really nothing better. So I'll say it here. Thank you for your support, for your belief in me, in what I do, and your patience with this messy, evolving process. I hope you find value in the stories, comfort in the honesty, and community in your engagement. We are all in this together. And I'm so glad I found this group of creatives and innovators who not only understand that, but actually encourage it. So for the brands that are still figuring it out, I'd like to leave you with some tips from the trade, from some of these messy life lessons that we're going through right now. So first of all, keep figuring it out. Your entire brand life, don't stop being curious because everything changes, including you, so your brand should evolve with you. If you're building something or you know deep down it's time to start, here's what I've learned. 1, start with where you are and who you are today. Don't leap ahead or wait until everything feels polished. Ask yourself, what do I want to say today, and start there. Remember, this podcast started in my office with a cell phone and it was 7 minutes long. So, 2, clarity comes from action. You can't think your way into purpose. You have to create your way there. So start small, stay consistent, and let the work guide you forward. 3, give yourself permission to evolve. The brand you start with won't be the one you finish with, and that's the point. Keep moving in the direction that feels right, even when it changes. Number 4, stay human and share the process. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with progress. Let them see behind the curtain, which you literally are today. Be transparent, be real, and grow alongside them. And 5, leverage your community. Any successful entrepreneur will tell you they didn't do it alone. Surround yourself with people who advise, support, and add value. Find your people and lean on them. They'll be there when you need them the most. And if you're sitting in that uncertain creative in-between, wondering what you're building or how to find your voice, I'd love to help you find clarity in your own chaos. Send me a DM or reach out through ErinGregoryCreative.com. Sometimes all it takes is an outside eye and a little patience and experience to help you see what you've been building all along. And if you need an editor or speechwriter, I will happily connect you with Christy. And remember, you can also find clarity through the chaos of others. That's what stories and this podcast are all about. Honest conversations, real moments, connection, and the courage to keep building even when you don't know exactly where it's headed. So everything on here is free, and it's all here to help you on your journey toward freedom, whatever that looks like for you. Thanks for being here and showing up in this messy middle with me. Thank you for listening to today's conversation. I hope it gave you encouragement for your own messy middle. If you'd like to connect with today's guests, you'll find their links in the show notes. And if you'd like more stories like this, or a peek into my own writing journey, you can find me on Substack and social media at Erin Gregory Creative, or visit my website at ErinGregoryCreative.com. Until next time, thanks for joining us in the messy middle.